Hello, everyone. When we do various trainings, one thing that I've observed and discovered is this. Most of the training that is done, people cannot remember it. And if you can't remember a training, you can't reproduce it. And if you can't reproduce the training, you can't multiply it. And if you can't multiply things, you'll never, ever get a movement. So some people have asked me, how can I remember this wheel model? Well, first of all, it's visual, which people really appreciate. But what I've noticed that everybody can carry their own wheel around on their own. And here it is, your hand, right here. And use your left hand because it has your ring finger, which is important for this illustration. Number one, in the core. Remember what the core is? The Holy Spirit and vision, the human-divine relationship. That is in the core. That is the palm. That is the power that drives it all. Now, if I say to you, go and make disciples of all nations, which fruitful practice is that? It's mission, isn't it? Go and make disciples, mission. The second fruitful practice, the middle finger. It's the tallest finger of all your fingers. Leaders rise to the top. So the middle finger, the tall finger, stands for leadership as a fruitful practice. Now, the third finger, it's your ring finger. You see your ring finger? Now, when we think about the ring finger, we think about the bride of Christ. Who is the bride of Christ? The church, yes. The third fruitful practice of church ecclesiology. Now, the little finger here, sometimes we call it the baby finger, don't we? Well, what is baby finger? Which fruitful practice is that? Reproduction. Go and make disciples, mission. Leaders rise to the top. Ring finger, the bride of Christ, which is the church. And the baby finger, reproduction. Now, let me ask you this question. Let's say you had your thumb cut off. Would you be able to grab anything? No. Thumb stands for worldview transformation. In order to get the grip on the Christian life, people's worldview needs to be transformed. So you have the core, Holy Spirit, and vision, and 5 fruitful practices. Now, the other hand, hold up 4 fingers like this. The role of the missionary, well, I want you to think of TRIP, put it that way. TRIP stands for training, R, role of the missionary, I, indigenous, and P stands for prayer. TRIP. We get in a car, we want to drive that car, get those wheels rolling, we want to take a trip. T, training, in role of the missionary, I, indigenous, and P, prayer. Now, I said that each 4 of these universals must be part of each one of these fruitful practices. So what we see is we take our right hand and we integrate it with our left hand, and to help us to remember that the 4 universals must be part of each one of the 5 fruitful practices. And what do you notice at the end? It's the hand of prayer. Because in this work of God, it is very, very difficult. And do not want to minimize the difficulties in all this. So in the end, we see our hands folded in prayer, reminding us that we must believe God and move forward in humble prayer as we trust God for a movement. I hope you found that helpful. Remember, if you can't remember it, you can't reproduce it. If you can't reproduce it, you can't multiply it. And if you can't multiply it, you will never, ever get a movement. God bless you. Keep going.